Welcome back to Lotus on Track and welcome back to Silverstone for the second round of the 2013 Lotus Cup UK, where number 10 Andrew Bentley in the Evora leads Marcus Jewell in the bright orange 211. This is the fight for first and second in the race as the mandatory mid-race pit stops begin to loom ever larger here on the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit. Andrew Bentley lights the blaze in the Evora, hits the brakes into Vale, snatches a tyre as well, and with good reason because he's got Marcus Jewell right in his tail, and Jewell looking particularly feisty here in the 211, and he's going to take advantage through club corner and wrestles lead the race away from Andrew Bentley. That was all triggered by that slight error from Bentley as he hit the brakes into Vale, pitched him off line for club, and Jewell needing no second invitation to go through. The pair of them all the while pulling clear of Adrian Hall in the Exige. She was now in a somewhat distant third position. The big question is now that Marcus Jewell's going to lead the race, will he be able to pull clear of Andrew Bentley, or is Bentley going to be able to come back at Jewell? Well, let's see. A pair of them head around the loop and accelerate on towards the Wellington Straight with Marcus Jewell 4 or 5 car lengths clear of Andrew Bentley. Bentley, though, trying to use the slipstream to get on turns, got wage yellow flags at Brooklands. The reason for that we know not, but it means that if Andrew Bentley were near enough, and he certainly isn't, he couldn't challenge Marcus Jewell to lead the race. So through Brooklands they go. To say Jewell backs off maybe a little bit more tentatively than Andrew Bentley does. He takes the opportunity to close in 2 or 3 car lengths on Jewell by the time they arrive into Luffield, to no avail though. As into the pits comes Adrian Hall. We wondered that he was a little bit distant, and this is well outside the planned pit window. The rear engine cover comes off, the mechanics peer inside, and unfortunately that would seem to be day over for Adrian Hall. It's also very emphatically day over for Pete Story as well, who pulls off the road. Meanwhile, still battling going on in the production class, it's Dan Plant, who's just clear of Rob Myers. Myers in the orange and black car then, on the tail of the white police of Plant. A pair of them accelerating out of Copse on towards Maggots. And they've actually got the race leader, Marcus Jewell, bearing down on them as they pick their way through the very, very fast Beckett's complex. Such a challenge for the drivers, and made no easier by the fact that the 2 leaders are going to be looking to put the lap onto this pair very, very quickly. So as Plant and Mars accelerate through Chapel Curve, we see that's where Pete Story's pulled off on the way into Stowe Corner. He's left that 211 in actually a very exposed position, and the way the cars are spread around the circuit, it's not going to be the work of a moment to recover that. For the time being, though, it means that Rob Myers is unable to overtake Dan Plant. It also means that Marcus Jewell wouldn't be able to overtake the pair of them until they pass the green flag, and that again could give Andrew Bentley the opportunity to get back onto turns with Jewell. I don't think it does quite though. Marcus Jewell slides to the inside of Rob Myers as he arrives into Vale, not quite near enough to Dan Plant to do the same. That's good news for Plant, it's good news for Jewell. They both put the car between themselves and their rivals, accelerating then out of club corner. Andrew Bentley slipping back here from Marcus Jewell. Maybe Bentley will be able to recover that ground during the pit stops. For the time being though, he's about 10 or so car lengths back and doesn't seem to be in the process of closing in on Marcus Jewell too quickly. This, I have to say though, is the most inspired we've seen Jewell for quite a while. He's absolutely flying today. Again, his season starter at Snetterton was marred by mechanical trouble in the 211, and actually an event that saw most of the 211s plagued with various issues, but it seems to be fully on song today. Marcus Jewell accelerates out of the loop, still maintaining that 10 car length advantage over the Evora of Andrew Bentley, driving single-handedly today. Normally shares with Adrian Lester. Further back, Will Price and Phil Stratton-Lake busy engaging in battle as well. Price in the white car, heading around Luffield, trying to find his way through. Can't quite do it. Accelerates out of Luffield, then on towards Woodcote Corner, swarming all over the tail. Copse Corner potentially can overtake there if you can get a good slipstream along the start and finish straight here. You're feeling particularly emboldened, then the inside run to Copse is a potential option. Is that going to work out? No, not this time. And again, we saw at the very back of the shot, the race leader, Marcus Jewell, closing in onto the tail of this duelling pair, who accelerate over the crest towards Maggots. As Clive Willis has another spin. I think those hazard strips to the rear of his car are probably very aptly placed, because he's had one of those days, 2 spins that we've seen, as Freddie Hetherington comes to the pits. That is to hand over to brother Benji. Also in is Rob Fenn. He's doing the race single-handedly today. Handing over to Dad David as they all peel into the pits now, headed by Christopher Mayhew. He'll hand over to Steve Edwards. Also Ben Brooks for Phil Capstick. Doug Setters is in to hand over to his son Chris. Doug's done a very good job in his stint. He's left that car well placed in the order. So David Harvey in as well. So there is Chris being strapped in. As we'll hear from his dad, Doug.
Doug, you've just been out for the first half of the Cup UK. How did you get on?
Okay, I'm finding the car a little bit slippy because we're still getting the feel of the new tyres. But Chris seems to get to grip with them better than me. So hopefully he'll pull the time back. But, so we're all in the same position. So we're feeling the tyres. They're good. We just need to get used to them. And I enjoyed it.
Great. And Chris has just gone out. You're feeling confident for him?
Yeah, Chris is a good driver. He is a good driver, and he'll get the best out of the car.
Also into the pits then, Simon Deacon, as Andrew Bentley accelerates on his way. So Bentley joins the track then in the Evora. The big question will be, at what point Marcus Jewell makes his pit stop and where he is in relation to Andrew Bentley. So Bentley powers out of the pits as accelerating on his way goes Steve Edwards, having taken over from Chris Mayhew. Pit lane very, very busy. Ken Savage, another driver who has had his pit stop and rejoins the fray. So coming in is Phil Chatterton. That's to hand over to Steve Porter. Rob Fenn rejoins the action, finds a gap in clear air, and we'll head back down to the pit lane where Haley's caught up with Phil Chatterton.
Hi Phil, so you've just been out for the first half of the Cup UK. How did you get on?
Yeah, we had some problems this morning in practice, and in qualifying. And that was the first time I'd raced for nearly 3 years, so it was quite hard work, but Guglielmi set the car up really well, and I think that was as much as I could hope for this time.
It's a late pit stop for Marcus Jewell. He is pushing very, very hard, but look, he's got some damage to the rear of the car. The rear diffuser has collapsed. That might just slow him down a little bit, as most of the field seems to be in the pits. The driver who rejoins the action is Seth Walpole. In comes Steve Guglielmi, brings the car to a halt. He'll hand over to Jeff Milam as Haley catches up with Steve.
I was enjoying it, but I think we may have missed the pit window, so it's just getting better and better as the day goes on.
And you've got your second driver out now. Are you feeling confident for him?
Jeff Milam's out there, he's going to bring it home, but we may get a penalty. We'll have to see how everyone feels today, but I've thoroughly enjoyed it.
Smooth run for you?
No, not too bad at first, but I coach a few of the drivers here, and one of my guys who wanted to maybe get one over on me was fighting me quite hard. He got past in a couple of places, I got past, and then I caught another one of my guys who probably also thought he'd try and have a fight with me, and we had a fight for a few laps, and it was very good fun, but I would have preferred to have probably snuck by and stayed in front.
Well, pit stop's complete. There is Andrew Bentley. Now, where is he in the overall scheme of things? He's emerged from the pits ahead of Marcus Jewell. So the differing pit stop strategies haven't worked out, or at least they have for Andrew Bentley, but not for Marcus Jewell. He slips back into second position. He's actually somewhere drifter Bentley, who moves clear of Adam Gore. Puts Gore a lap down, although in command of the production class for the time being. Now, this is good news for Andrew Bentley because the Evora is not known for being overly sympathetic to his tyres, and this is bad news for Jeff Milam diving back into the pit lane there. So problems for the Exige. No such issues for Simon Deacon or Andrew Wright. They continue to press on, as does Matthias Radstock and Andy Napier, who we saw on the rostrum as well at Snesen at the start of the season. So it's good to see his year continuing to go from strength to strength. This is much better from Rob Fenn, running very reliably. Now, what about the gap between the two leaders? Well, Marcus Jewell is definitely coming back at Andrew Bentley here, and this isn't a fait accompli for Bentley. He's going to have to work very, very hard over the remaining 20 minutes or so of this race. Down the Hanger Straight, no such concerns, but through Stowe Corner, you can really see he's using the tyres on that Evora. It's a far heavier car than the Lotus 211, and that means at that stage of the race that you'd expect the 211 to be even more nimble, and that's where Bentley's going to have to call on his vast experience to try and withstand the pressure of Marcus Jewell. For the time being, though, he concerns himself with getting a good exit from club corner, which he does, but you can see he's not quite as precise as Jewel. He's using all the curb and the car sliding on the exit of club. Marcus Jewel able to be much more precise, drive the car a little bit more like a single seater, whereas Andrew Bentley having to let the Evora move its own accord. But at the moment he is able to see off the pressure from Jewel. Although Jewel's bringing the gap down slightly, he's not really making the sort of inroads into Andrew Bentley's advantage that will cause Bentley concern for the time being. Around the loop he heads, and then accelerating on towards the Wellington Straight. Marcus Jewel is closing on his tail. We've got about 15 minutes to go here at Silverstone. Join us after the break to see who claims the win.